And welcome all of you guys on to our first call of, I think there's many over the next couple of weeks, where you guys get to hear from coaches who have truly taken the bull by the horns in this business and made it something huge. But before I introduce Rachel, I wanted to tell you guys I'm so extremely excited about this because I know what it feels like to be stuck. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Meg Kozlowski, formerly known as Meg Wazinski before I got married, and I signed up as a coach in 2009. And I was a discount coach under the amazing Janelle Summers. Really didn't do anything with my business until 2011 when I finally got out of my way. And over the last 9 years, you guys, there's been many times where I've felt stuck. So if you are that coach who feels stuck and you know that you're meant to do more with this business, but you're not quite sure what to do, I'm really hoping that this call, as well as the other calls that we have lined up, help spark that feeling of the fact that you can do this too. But here's the thing, you guys. Rachel's going to share some amazing things tonight. You have to put it into action, okay? You have to be the one that says, okay, I took a couple notes or lots of notes over this call. Now I need to put it into the action over the next week or so, okay? So you have the power to get unstuck. It's going to be hard work. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take discipline. And it's going to take really getting uncomfortable, but it's worth it. And I know that, it's going to be really exciting to hear from Rachel because I saw her take off in 2018. I saw what she was sharing in this 5-star and above group and was so excited that when I asked, for a few leaders to hop on and do a call for my team, she was one of the ones that reached out immediately and said, yes, absolutely. So a couple stats about Rachel, and then I'll hand it over to her, is she is a 5-star diamond and a 2-star diamond in her second business center. So in her first business center, she's a 5-star. In her second business center, she is a 2-star, and she's currently 7-star qualifying this coming Thursday, which is really exciting. Congratulations, Rachel, and your team. She's a retired teacher. She's a toddler mom. I know how that is. She will be officially an elite 2019 team when they do the calls tomorrow. And she advanced 10 diamonds, you guys. 10 diamonds in 2018 alone. In 1 year, you guys, she advanced 10 diamonds. How many of you can raise your hand and say, yep, I want that to be me in 2019? That's amazing. So Rachel, I am going to hand it over to you. I don't know where you are because there's so many people on this call. So I'll stop talking and you can unmute yourself.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for the warm introduction, and just the opportunity to share with you guys is really a little bit scary, but it's something I really love in this business because I was a teacher and I still get to be a teacher. It just looks different, and I just get to share like my passions, and there's just something so rewarding about sharing what has worked for me in my business when I was really stuck. And I'm going to talk about the backstory because I think it's really important to know. But I also want you to know going into this, any notes that you take, yes, like Meg said, I might really push you to do something outside your comfort zone. But one, that's how you grow a rock solid business, is pushing yourself outside your comfort zone every single day, just a little bit. Like, you don't need to go skydiving tomorrow, but like jump off your deck or something. You know what I mean? Like build up to it just a little bit every day. And, but anything I do in my business is very simple. This business is so simple. It just has to be done consistently. And sometimes that's the hardest part. So that's definitely my superpower, is consistency and showing up, especially when it's hard. That's why people join my team. That's why people join my boot camps. But rewind, I've been a coach I'm coming up on 4 years, and I had no intention when I joined this business, or when I joined as a coach. I really just joined for the discount on Shakeology. And I was like hooked, obviously, and just started telling people about this journey. So I was like quickly addicted to the business. I didn't know anything about anything, but I remember my coach. I don't even know that my coach told me, but I found it in the FAQs that you could get free leads if you hit Emerald. So I did that because I was like, free money, that sounds fantastic. So I did that, and she was like, I know she told me like, you're going to sign up 3 new people every month. And I was like, 3 new people? I about like pooped my pants. I was like, I don't know that many people. Like, I started doing math in my head, and well, spoiler alert, I hit Success Club, my first Success Club 5, my first 2 months. And then I've never not missed Success Club 10. So obviously we know social media, like there are lots of people to go around. And so I was very consistent from the beginning in my business that way. And I went to Summit a couple months into my business, and it was like, cool. Like, I want to actually, I love recognition. So I was like, I want to be, not an Emerald coach. And so I came home and I made myself Diamond in like a week, signed people up under my mom and my husband. And then I just remember like weird stuff, like I remember like where I was, not necessarily what I was wearing, but like the time of day, like weird stuff, when people tell me stuff that just sticks in my brain. I remember somebody saying like 2 stars when you'll start making a lot of money. Like she just really said it in passing. And so I was like, it locked in. I was like, 2 star, let's go. So I had a builder, and then I built my husband to Diamond. So I went 2 star about a year into my business, and 2 star is a game changer. But then that builder quit, 100% quit. She is no longer a coach. And I had my second business center that quickly became Diamond. So, but my husband fell, there was no point in having, besides the team cycle bonus, but rank wise, I was at a 1 star, and that was because of myself. So I just felt like a big phony, I guess. I was doing the work, and my team was growing. I was hitting Success Club, but I couldn't get anybody to rank advance past Emerald. And I sat at 1 star for 2 years. 2 years. And I wanted elite. I wanted elite since I knew what elite was. At the end of my first year, almost 4 years, 3 years ago at this time, when I saw people hitting elite, I was like, because I like recognition, I was like, that's cool. I want to do that. So I researched it. I'm like an FAQ guru. And so I knew all the things it took. And because I was growing my team and I was hitting Success Club, I was talking about the business to people behind the scenes. I was getting my elite points, but I could not rank advance a single person past Emerald to save my life. And it was hard. I put in, to retire from teaching. Well, I was at 1 star, and I was like, this sucks. But I did some things that made me explode. I really exploded from March of 2018 to May, the 3 months. But I did some work prior to that. I would say 3 to 6 months of being consistent to really see that explosion in your business for it to make a difference. It might not even be an explosion. It might be a slow trickle, but to really see the results of that work. So I'm going to talk to you about that work. And some of it is more actionable, simpler than others, but everything can be done. So the first thing I had to do was I had to take my head out of my ass, but that means I had to do some mindset work. And I hate mindset work. I hate personal development. I hate that that's necessary. It's just not I love fitness. If you told me to do 2-a-days for a program, I would do it. I did 80-day obsession to a T. That's my jam. But telling me to read personal development every day, I'll do it because I'm coachable, but it's not my jam. It's not my favorite thing. And, that's where the most work needed to happen. I had to get out of my head, take my head out of my ass, and figure out my self-limiting belief. And I had never done affirmations before March of 2018. And so I had to figure out what was holding me back. And I can share with you guys, because this might be what's holding you back, is I was like, I'm obviously not a good enough leader because I have not built anybody to become a leader themselves. I can't build anybody to Diamond. What's going on? And then once I said it out loud, and I started working through why do I think that? And how do we define success? Are there people on my team making money, like, is if I found $20 on the street, like that's making, that's a successful day for me. You know what I mean? Like success looks different for everybody. So, and at the end of the day, I can't do the work for everybody. So, I had to get an affirmation. So my affirmation is still on my computer to this day. And affirmations feel very weird to me because they're not, I've only been doing them for under a year. But I say this to myself every single day, and I see it constantly while I'm working. It says, I'm a great leader. Leadership does not discriminate. And the longer version is, leadership does not discriminate against race, gender, size, color. Doesn't matter what color your hair is. Doesn't matter if you have a big following on Instagram. Leadership does not discriminate. It is a skill, and the more you practice skills, they will flourish. It's the law of sowing and reaping. So I had to just really believe that I could develop leaders. And then that was like one of the hardest things for me. And to go along with the mindset is something I didn't realize I was doing, but this made the mindset stuff a lot easier, was I want you guys to act and think like the coach you want to be. And I like not physical, but like concrete things. So think about the rank you want to be and think, how does that coach act when things happen? Like if a bummer happens in your business, think, how would an elite coach act in that situation? How would a superstar coach act in that situation? Like, we all have like emeralds who, when they get a coach cancellation form, like they're literally devastated. It ruins their whole day. Okay. I can tell you, like, as a 5-star coach, it does not ruin my day. It's not like it's rainbows and butterflies in my email. I don't love them, but like, it doesn't ruin my day. And I can tell you that was true at 2-star, because it's not a make or break for me at my rank, and I just understand where people, okay, nice tangent. But I do that with all sorts of things. I do that with how does an elite coach act on their social media? Your following one doesn't know or care where you are in your business. They just care about you. And so I've acted like a boss on my social media well before I was reaching the goals I wanted to reach. So that's a huge piece of advice. Just think about that with all parts of your business. How does a 5-star coach do coach sneak peeks? And you can like look to actual people at those goals for inspiration, or, things like that. Or if you're not sure, ask somebody like, hey, how do you feel when you get a coach cancellation form or whatever? So I think that was huge for me, as I was kind of like walking the walk well before I was even there. And so that was huge. That mindset work was so necessary. But then we have to do the work to match our affirmations. Like, I can't just sit down in this chair and say my affirmations and like walk out the door and like wait for people to sign up, right? So I really had to, and this had happened prior to me starting that affirmation, about 4 months before that, maybe 5 or 6. I knew I had to just revamp my recruiting, because I wasn't bringing on people ready to work. I was honestly I was like relying on challengers, which is awesome. Challengers can make phenomenal coaches, but I want you to think of like 2 buckets. There's a client bucket and a coach bucket. And yes, you can pull out from the client bucket into your coach bucket, but don't forget about like filling your coach bucket on its own, because other people are looking to start a business. And I mean, I've seen so many girls in the business have success by starting their fitness and business at the same time. So I don't want to write those people off. And that's probably half of my leaders joined that way. Probably 50-50 for my buckets. But I knew I wasn't doing a good job, almost a year ago, or a little over a year ago, filling that coach bucket initially. And so I reached out to a friend and I asked her, like, I was like begging her maybe for help. I was like, that's not a strength of mine. But I want it to be. And she was like, this is like, it blew my mind. Are you ready? She was like, you just need to talk about coaching, like all the time, like what you're doing, like every day. She's like, you don't do that. I was like, no, I don't do that. She's like, I do. I was like, you're right, you do. And I love it. I love watching that. So don't watch my Instagram today. It was a bad example because I was at my mom's, so I was kind of unplugged for the day. But I now do that pretty much every day. Like sharing, you'll hear a lot of coaches saying they're working, but I'm pretty explicit about what I'm doing for my work. I talk about where I'm working and why. Like some days I'm working at the kitchen counter because I'm home with my son. He's in the living room. Some days I'm working right here and it's nap time hustle, or he's in bed, or some days he's at daycare and this is my favorite spot to work so I can ignore all the laundry. And some days I work at the coffee shop. So I talk about where I'm working and why. And I talk about a lot how that's changed for me since leaving teaching in June. And why I love to do this, obviously. And I also talk about what I'm doing. And I don't use coach jargon. This is just kind of like some recruiting tips, I guess. I don't use coach jargon. I absolutely, on my social media, talk about the fact that I invite, I follow up, I do all the vitals. But I just don't use jargon like that. I do funny, like Instagram stories about like when people ghost me. I'm like getting really close to my eyeball. I'm like, where'd you go? I see you saw my message. Like, why are you ignoring me? Like, and I'm like, I'm here for you, girl. Like, even though you're not here for you yet, like, that's why me reaching back out is such an important part of my job. So I'm talking about all the things that I do so that, one, the people that ghost me will freaking answer my message, but two, because then my girls that are watching my stories, I really feel like that's where I get the most people because they really get to know my personality. But then they're not wondering about what I do. They're not like, I wonder what Rachel does for her job. Like I pretty much tell them like at least once a week. I'm like explicit about it. I talk about doing reports in my team page. I talk about doing recognition. I obviously talk about team calls. I talk about, I know people like examples, so I'm trying to give them. I talk about going live. I talk about getting info for my boot camps. I talk about sending email blasts to my current clients. I talk about inviting. I just don't call it that. And so I do all of those things. And then when I do invites or I talk about my coach sneak peek coming up, people aren't wondering what I'm doing. They already know. And it's just human nature to put yourself in other people's shoes. Like I went to high school with like a very semi-famous YouTuber, blogger, whatever. And whenever I watch her, I totally envision myself being a YouTuber. I have zero interest in doing that, but that's human. It's just human nature. Like I envision myself as her. So I know people are doing that to me. So I want to leave like no stone unturned. And also I don't want new people joining my team and they're like, I have to invite? And I'm like, yeah, you have to invite. So I'm just explicit about it up front and I just make it like sexier than sometimes we feel like the work we do is like mundane because we do it every day. I just make it no one wants to watch me do mundane things. So that's a huge recruiting tip. And that helped me bring on people who were ready to work. And yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry. So those were like probably the biggest things that happened for me to go from two of the biggest things that I'm going to talk about, the biggest game changer that helped me at least get, like my confidence and people in my pipeline and my mind right. Like that was obviously just lacking because, being stuck at the same rank for 2 years, I mean, it's hard on your mind. Like you start to really, doubt yourself. Even though I knew I would do it, I was just like, how, when, I can't be 1 star for a minute longer. Like I was just losing my mind. And anyways, so then I had, you know, like these systems, and I started to hear other coaches talking about working with the working. And I fine-tuned that since then. I think that is so important. And I think, you know, when I started working the business, we heard about like these big teams, and it was kind of like when I was a baby coach, it was almost like talked down on, like they were like, oh, you have to earn so-and-so's time on a big team like that. And it was like, oh, well, if you're not working the business, why would you even want your coach's attention? You know what I mean? Like if I wasn't working, you know, I have girls, like why would they want my attention about like inviting? That's just nagging. Like if I'm like checking in that they're not even working the business, like I can't pour into people who don't even have their cups out, you know? So I had to figure out like what that looked like. And I was like, I just have to figure out something to, you know, I've got the people, I'm working on my mindset now. Let's see some action to get the girls to Diamond. Like, let's go. And so I did, and I didn't even realize this was my missing piece. Because like I said, I had a really big cluster of diamonds pop between March and May. And then I was like kind of quiet for a while. And I was like, what is going on? Like, where did everyone go? Like, why is this? I don't understand. And it was, I looked back and I was like, it was my diamond internships. And so I started implementing them again. And I had a girl go diamond at the end of the year. And I have one going diamond on Thursday. And I have a bunch close. And it's because that working with the working works. And small groups are really effective. So I'm going to walk you through like my secret recipe, or like secret, you know, like magic recipe for diamond internships. Everybody does them differently, but I'm going to share with you how I have fine-tuned them, and I make them really fun, and they're my favorite group to run. So the first thing that keeps the joy in it for me is I take it completely off of Facebook, and I put them in a Voxer chat, which is an app, and it's a walkie-talkie app that you can hands-free voice memo. You can't really do, I mean, you could, just depends on your group, a group chat, because not everyone has an iPhone. And so I put them in Voxer, and I love Voxer. And to pick the people, though, you do have to pick people who want to be diamond, you know, and I definitely have chosen people who would get me to my goals, and there's nothing wrong with that. So like, for example, I needed a couple girls on one leg more than the other. So yeah, I prioritize that side or whatever. So I pick some girls. The sweet spot for numbers is between 3 and 5. I think 6 is too many. I've done 6, and it's just a lot of girls. And I mean, 2 is fine too. I've never done less than 3. And that's pretty much my only requirement. I currently am implementing, like, if you're not going to Summit, you can't be in a diamond internship. Like, you gotta help yourself. Definitely, if you're not inviting, that's on my application. If you're not inviting, I mean, like, if you're not even showing up, I just tell them, like, I'm not gonna have anything earth-shattering for you to get over inviting. Like, you have to be doing that at least. I can help you fine-tune it in there, but you have to at least be doing the work. I'm not gonna be the magic motivator for you. So I pick girls who are working, and I put them in this Voxer chat, and the first week is a lot of work. I pop in there, I give them motivation. I'm like, I can't wait to crush today. Like, set your intentions for today. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, check in. How many invites did you? It's informal. I don't have anything planned. And I'm like, you know, like, what was a win today? I popped in there. I was like, everyone drop a win for the day. Like, they were kind of quiet today. And some groups mesh well than others. Just like the luck of the peeps. But the magic is we Zoom once a week, and it's a group Zoom, but they get my individual attention for like 5 minutes. And one, I start with like motivation, like it's all about consistency. That's basically why diamond internships work, is because if they're pushing for diamond, it's probably because they haven't been consistent. So I should have said this at the beginning. I do lay the groundwork that they're going to have to, just like Meg did here, that they're going to have to push. It's going to be hard. It's going to be more than what they've been doing, because if what they were doing was enough, they would have already reached their goals. Most of them have been coaches for a hot second. Besides, like, if a couple are like fired up and they're taking off, I've got a new girl, it's her second month. I'm like, she's going to go in there. And so I set the expectations so they know, like, I'm not babysitting. I'm not entertaining excuses. Like, it's time to show up. It's time to work hard. And so then we Zoom every week. They get my attention. They talk about what their intention is for the week. And I phrase it that way because otherwise it turns into complaining. And I don't want them to be complaining. I want them to be looking for a solution. So by saying it that way, they're like, my intention is, and it's usually their struggle, like, is to connect more on Instagram. That seems to be what takes me the longest. And then I can give them tips. I do heavy, like, you need to be inviting to coaching. Like, that will be a whole theme next week in my Voxer group. Will be like, because we have a coach sneak peek coming up, will be like, how many coach invites did you do today? Like, it will be a contest, and they will start to motivate each other. Like, the competitive girls will be like, someone will be like, I did 7, and then the competitive girl will be like, well, I did 15, and they'll just keep building off each other. And they do that with lots of stuff, which makes it fun. I have them also like do diamond roadmaps, and I make them fill it out in pencil, because so many people, they're just looking for bare bones. And I do not want heart attack diamonds. They are they're the worst diamonds to have, because there's so many heart attacks. And so I want them to get solid ASAP, and they fill it in pencil, and we're constantly talking about, like, we're just pulling in people consistently. It will happen naturally, and then you will get past that. We're always talking about diamond is not the end game. It's diamond to 2-star. It's a stepping stone to really get your business to take off. We just have to get to diamond first. It's just a lot easier to get there and quicker if you are finding builders quickly. So we talk about that. They have to show it to everybody, because a lot of them aren't checking their sponsorship drill down. They have no idea when people are going inactive, and I don't want to tell them every week. So that's just kind of some of the stuff we talk about. In the past, in 2018, I did them for a month, and a month just doesn't feel long enough for people, to gain consistency. And I do want to tell you guys, for a lot of them, they don't necessarily see tangible physical results during that month, because they've never been consistent. So for the first time, they're showing up every day. And this was my favorite last month. 2 of my girls, I was like, you guys have never made me so happy. They were like, I've never been so thrilled to be at, and proud to be at Success Club Zero. And I knew what they were getting. I was like, why? And they're like, because I showed up every single day for the past 2 weeks, and I know I'm making meaningful connections, and I know I'm earning it. Whereas before, here and there, maybe, when it was convenient. So that's my biggest thing, was like, I had to teach my team how to be consistent and show up. And this has been the fun secret sauce for me, along with upping my recruiting and getting my mindset right. Is doing these Voxer groups. So I was saying I was doing them for a month, and now in 2019, I'm going to do them for 6 weeks and see how that goes. I thought about doing it for a quarter, but that seems really long, and I want to get more people in, because I want to, diamond is like, and I'm working on, for me, when I onboard people, and I think it stems from, diamond is such a sexy word, right? Like, remember, in the diamond, the connotation is like, it's hard to get. And like, I remember, like, when I wanted to get married, it was hard to get my diamond ring, like, I was like, hello, like, we want to get married. But in reality, diamond is 12 people in your organization. Like, there's not a lot of people. So I am very upfront about that now. And I'm like, stop making diamond scary. Diamond is super sexy, but I'm like, every rank is celebrated. Every rank is awesome. Every promotion, you just want to be getting them. You want to be moving forward. So no, yes, diamond should be one of your ASAP goals, not because it's so super sexy, but because you're going to be moving your business forward and moving it towards really exploding and starting your coaching journey. Your coaching journey really begins at diamond. So I just use a lot of like verbiage like that with the team. And I was always doing that before, like the motivating, like, come on guys, like, don't you want it? You know, but then just creating that diamond internship. And I call it an internship because an internship has the connotation of like, when you have an internship for a job, it's usually harder than the actual job. And there's a lot of like running around and like figuring things out. It's new, it's fun, it's fast paced. So that word already has a connotation, but having that group has really made the difference, and it's fun. People want in on it. In my team, I announce it like it's super fun, and we, you know, like celebrate everybody in there. I'm in there all the time, every day. That's like the only group I make sure to be in every day. And then that's fostering like all my leaders, like, you know, past diamond, my girls that are producing their own diamonds and that sort of thing. So those are like my 3 big game changers that, and obviously there's a lot of sub things amongst those 3 things, but I love being the teacher that I am. I love being able to answer like specific questions. If you guys have them, if you want to do that, Meg, I don't know if you wanted to do that or not, but.
Sure. Yeah, no, that was awesome. And I see some questions that are coming through. I did see a few. How long is your coach internship, or your, I guess, diamond internship?
6 weeks is what I'm trying for 2019.
Okay. 6 weeks. And then do you ever remove someone who isn't showing up?
I've never had that happen. They pretty much always show up. I make it pretty clear at the beginning, like that this is going to be hard work. If they don't want to do it, that's fine. But that they're taking up a spot. So I pretty much don't have anybody not do that, because I set the expectations from the beginning.
I love that. Okay, so do you have a weekly theme for the internship, or do you just totally wing it each time?
It's funny because I'm so type A. I love to be organized. I love like scripts. I love like challenge group scripts or guides or whatever. But no, this is the group I wing, and because you really have to work with the group you have. So like right now is weird for me because I actually have a lot of girls who are consistent. They just have a missing piece. So this group looks very different for me than a different group. So I really just wing it, and every day is different. It's kind of like the teacher in me. I'm like, okay, we just show up and we see like what the group needs today. And then I just go from there. And some days I have more to say than others, and that's okay.
I love that you said that, because, you know, looking at the diamonds that we've developed, it's always been kind of a winging thing. You do have to go off of what people need, and you're going to have different girls each time. So I love that. Okay. Do you have everyone fill out an application, or are you hand selecting all the time?
I've done both. At the end of the year last year, I just decided I was like, I miss doing this. Like, let's get this fired up again. So I just like messaged a few girls that I knew would love it. But usually I do an application because I want to see, I ask some harder questions, like, or not harder, but I want to know like why they want to be diamond. And a lot of them say for money, and then I can let them know that that's not where they're going to get rich. But it's helpful to see where their mindset is. I want to see if they're inviting. And I feel like people are a lot more honest on applications than they are like one-on-one. And so I asked the question. So I like to do the survey or the application. I prefer that.
Agree. Okay. Any other questions, you guys? Let's see. We'll see if anyone's typing anything. But before, like as they're typing, I do have a question for you at the end that I'd love you to answer. Just, you know, how you've seen your business grow from kind of getting over yourself and saying, okay, like leadership, I love that you shared that you said leadership is a skill that you have to grow. You know, every single person on this, 100 people on here, you all can become leaders. Like no one is born a leader, but you have to work on that skill. So I'd love to hear like how you know, personally, professionally, your family, all that stuff, how has that changed since you made that decision to kind of go all in?
Well, the team is like so different, which in like the best way. And what's probably my favorite part is I'm still learning every day. Like I just learned a new way to do a coach sneak peek, and then I can teach it to my team, you know? And so that part of me, then I'm always showing up like real and raw with them, like, and I share my struggles with them. And I had a great 2018, but I'm going to be totally transparent with you guys. I fell back to 1 star more than once this year because of just how my diamonds are stacked on my legs. Like with 4 diamonds on one leg, but sorry if you don't have any of the others, you can be 1 star. So that happened to me this year. And so I'm always transparent with my team about that. And even though it sucks, but personally, I just look back to who I was even a year ago, and I loved that girl then, which is so important, but I love this girl so much more. This Rachel is so much more confident and just happier. And some of that has to do with like me leaving my job and being home with my son, but and that's honestly because I feel like I'm still coming into myself and learning how to hone these skills. And that's just like, oh, that's such a great feeling. Like, you know, to like be working on skills. Like once you identify a weakness, it's like, it's not very fun. Like one of my weaknesses personally is that I used to be so sensitive, and I would just like wear that like a label. And I would just be like, you know, like crying because my husband looked at me sideways and like, oh, I'm just sensitive. But instead, now, like when I was like, I need to work on my leadership skills instead of being like, I suck. I'm like, okay, every day working on my leadership skills. So now then those, you know, weaknesses turn into growth opportunities. And that's where like magic happens, like as a person. And my husband said to me a couple of months ago, and he was like, I never said that. He was like, Rachel, I just think you're just a happier person. Like, to him, you know, and our family life doesn't really look any different besides like the financial side, but we're still like, I don't know, it's weird for him. Like, he's like, I'm like, remember, like our team is the number 30 something. We're waiting to hear team and Beachbody, just crazy. And he's like, that's so weird, you know, that people know you and whatever. He's like, you're just you, but.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so we got 2 more questions. We'll answer them and let people wrap up so I can get this recording out to everyone. Okay, so someone said, since you hate personal development, I'd love to hear if you have something that you enjoy. What is your favorite personal development?
I mean, everybody loved Girl Wash Your Face, but that's definitely when the height of my business was, because I felt like it was just like a BFF talking to me. It didn't feel like personal development, but I also love the 10X rule. Really was a turning point in my business, as well as I love the energy bus is like one of my near and dear to my hearts, especially that's one I love to recommend to newer coaches too. I think those are like my top, probably the ones I've finished. I start a lot.
I feel like I need that energy bus one right now.
So good. One of my faves.
All right, last question, you guys. She said, Samantha, who's going to a new leadership conference next month, she said, I would love to know what you think I will take away versus any other corporate training.
New leader conference I was at last year, and so was Emily Favre and Ashley Fell Dyson and a bunch of other people who took off in 2018. And I want you to go, anyone who's going to New Leader Conference, first of all, any corporate event that is tailored to where you are in your business is a 10. That's why I'm so excited about the tracks at Summit this year. But because before Summit was just like this umbrella and it was awesome, but it wasn't where you were specifically at in your business. But New Leader Conference, like go into every event, letting it change your business. I don't want you to think like it's going to be the secret sauce, but let it be. Like you're going to have awesome things to put into effect, but just let it be your turning point. That's why a lot of my girls go diamond after diamond internships, not because I'm giving them any sort of magic they've never heard before, but because they're like, they want to graduate a diamond internship. You know, they just want it to be the thing that makes the difference. And New Leader Conference is honest. I didn't know a single person when I went. I think I knew one person, never met her in person. She's just a part of my upline. So I knew one person. And it was the best event I've ever been to, besides leadership, but so get to leadership after that. But it was amazing. So I just always say, like, go into every event with Beachbody, letting it change your business and feed off of the energy there. And know that everybody, I think it's so cool that everybody earned that trip at the same level. Don't look at, I mean, there will be people who made elite and stuff there, but don't compare yourself. Just know that everybody is, you know, everybody earned that trip. You earned that trip and you deserve it. And just let that take off your business. Bring that energy from NLC back and pour it out into your team.
I love that. And I'm so jealous you guys have the NLC. I'm so old in this business that we didn't even have that at the time. But you guys, thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you for sharing your tips. Guys, go out and put this into action and apply it. And so we have another call next week, same time, same place. Make sure that you have it on your calendar. I'll be excited to see all of the same faces and hopefully some more. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.